All right, welcome back to another video. So what I wanted to do for today's video was make a 1/4" bottle rocket, but with some whistle mix. This is all I have left from the season, New Year, and I think 4th of July. Actually, this is just from the New Year. I made a bunch of the 5/8 Squeta rockets. These are 1/2", but I'm gonna be using these for something else. So today I'm actually bringing out my good old trusty Arbor Press, which I haven't used in forever because I have this big old hydraulic press that I use, but these are for my bigger rockets and stuff. This thing is way too small, and because you do have to hand ram it, you can't really hand ram whistle mix because it could go off in your hands. So that's the one thing you have to be careful of. So the only other option you can do is to use an Arbor Press like this. I actually modified this just with some wood, and I put a bolt, 2 bolts through it to kind of hold it in place. And then that way you can actually have some room to get in here and able to press the rockets, the smaller ones, because you can't really get it to fit in here because it's too tall. So you have to extend it. Some websites sell a raised platform, but I just made it out of wood pretty cheap. And the wood, I found it outside and somebody was throwing it away. So I just pretty much took a bunch of these, I think these are like 4x4s. Or 4x2s, and I just glued them together and then stuck some nails in them or screws, and then I just kind of cut out the areas that I didn't need and kind of made it look like this. So basically the way it works is, let me get the camera to focus. I'll just take this out because I don't need that, and you can see here that it is kind of low, and the ram only goes that far. So you just get another piece of wood here, put that there, and then it raises up just enough. But you can actually do it a different way too. What I'll do is I'll get my supports that I have, see if that's going to be enough. And it's still short. Sometimes, yeah, that's barely going to make it, but that's perfect because there's no powder in here. So once you start adding your layers, it'll start to build up and you'll be able to reach what you need. The thing is with the rockets though, whistle rockets, is you're not using any clay nozzle, you're not using anything like that. So all you're going to be doing is just putting whistle mix in there. So I'll first start off with this tube here. These seem much stronger. They're all parallel wound, but still. So what you'll do is you'll put your, I'll just see if I can get it in focus or in the frame. Okay. So what you'll do is you'll get your small little funnel and a little bit of whistle, and then you'll just place it in here. I used to be afraid of whistle because it's very dangerous and it's much faster than flash and black powder, but it's actually not that scary. Once you get used to it, or once you start making it, you'll realize it's actually not that scary. But you always want to be careful because inside of here, the spindle can pinch against the rod, and that can cause it to go off. So that's why whistle is pretty scary. You always want to make sure that you close this up. It is a lot of work doing that. So I sometimes will move this out of the way just because I don't want to have to deal with closing it every time, but it's just better to be safe. So, and that is barely going to make it. So let's see if I can turn this up. Yeah, that should give me my height that I need. And then there it is. Press it down. You can kind of hear it crunching a little bit. That's just the wood. So what I'll do now is I'll take the rod out, and there it's pressing it in, and you just keep doing that until you fill the tube up as far as you want to go. Okay, I'm coming up on my final increment of the top, and that's it. I'm not going too far into it, so it's about right there. So I'm not going to fill it with anything else. I don't want to do a flash on this, or a report. But anyways, what I wanted to show you, I forgot, is on my Arbor Press, I modified it because you only get so much of the throw, right, whenever you're actually using this. But what I did was I grinded down the teeth on this guy, the rod or ram, whatever, and it allows you to reset it. So that way, whenever you actually get down to wherever you want, like here, let's say you're pressing it, you do want the handle to go down. Sometimes when you're pressing and it's up here, you don't get a lot of force. That's only when it's a bigger rocket though. Obviously these 1/4" don't take much, so you don't need to worry about that. But Let's just say you were making one of these for your 1/2-inch rockets. I've even pressed my 5/8 Squetta rockets with this guy, so it'll handle the pressure just fine and it won't cause any issues. But whenever you're doing this, you know, you don't get a lot of, you want that bottom force. So that's all I did. These little teeth that are in here, the very bottom, I grinded them so that way when this thing spins, it just skips and allows you to reset. Sometimes you can do a ratchet wrench, a torque wrench, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do. They're all over YouTube, but this was just my little setup. So yeah, pretty much I am done with my little rocket, and I'm gonna take it off, just spin it off. Comes right off, you spin it slowly. And there you go, clean spindle. And then I'm gonna try to see if I can use my other flashlight that's not so strong because it's hard to see it when it's so bright. There it goes, lower power. So there it is, that's the little nozzle in there. Very deep in there, you can actually see where the nozzle is round, and then you can see that the top part is actually the bulkhead or whatever you want to call it. But remember, on these you don't use any clay, it's just straight up nozzle mix or whistle mix, and that's it. So for these, you don't actually fuse them either. Make sure that when you actually do add your fuse, you only want the fuse to be on the very edge of the tube, and the spark will get in there and ignite it. You don't actually stick the fuse in there because that'll cause it to blow up. So those are just little things that, for those that are getting into rockets and building whistle and stuff, those are the things that you need to know, especially if you're not used to it and you're new to it. Just be very careful about it. It's really not that scary as a lot of people make it seem. I used to be scared of it too, but now I'm just like, okay, I get it. I understand how to make it. I understand how to store it, and I understand how to use it. But obviously, you got to be respectful with whistle. You don't want to just throw it around or allow it to get pinched in between the tooling, or don't use any tooling that is bent. That's one big thing. If you drop this and it bends, you want to get rid of it and get another, or actually you don't have to get rid of it. You won't use it for whistle. You can use it for black powder, but you don't want to use this for whistle because that tiny little bend could be enough to make pressure against the rod when you press it, and it can cause it to spark or cause friction, and it can go off in your hands. So you have to be very careful with that. That's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, just ask down below, but I appreciate y'all for watching, and until the next video.